Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool clock video for you this evening. Now, we've been doing some of these amateur repair time videos on the weekend. This will have nothing to do with arcade games, pinball machines, or jukeboxes. So if you only care about those, you might want to go find something else to watch. Like one of our previous videos, like the one we put out just a couple days ago. So go check that out. But on this one, I'm going to tell you this story about this clock cabinet and a whole bunch of other ones that I've got. So here in my office, I have a whole ton of clocks and radios and stuff, right? Hardly any of them work because I'm an amateur. I don't know what I'm doing yet. But I want to tell you the story about how I got this particular cabinet. There's nothing special about this one. It's not worth anything, but it has a cool story behind it. At least I think so. So I'm going to tell you the story. So if you don't like stories, you also won't like this video. But, you know, the story's the fun part. If you wanted a clock like this that was in perfect shape, you know, you could just go buy it on eBay. It'd probably cost you 60, 70 bucks. That's about what they're worth. They're probably worth, 70 to 150 bucks. I don't even know the maker of this one, but we're going to find out. So about a year and a half ago, I'd always kind of messed with clocks. My dad really loved clocks. He's passed away now, but back in the day, he loved clocks. So he had a bunch of old reproduction clocks. So I guess they're not old, new reproduction clocks, but reproductions of older clocks. And back in the 90s, he was buying those for like $100 or something. They were brand new, and they looked like the old clocks. Whenever he grew up in the 50s and the 60s, his parents and his grandparents probably had them. That's probably how he got so interested in them. But they're really something special. This particular clock we're looking at is probably about 100 years old, maybe 110 years old. It's probably made in, I'm going to see if I can figure out what it is by the end of this video, but it was probably made in, around 1915, 1920, something like that. Hopefully we can identify it here in a little bit. But they made millions of these things. And there were factories in the United States that just pressed these things out. And they're beautiful. So most people don't have the heart to throw them away. Like, look at this Ansonia clock that's hanging on the wall over here. Look at this beautiful clock. That's probably 120 years old or so. It's from about 1900, I think. It's large. It's about 2 feet tall. That bob, the pendulum bob, is about 5 inches round. And it's old. You can tell it's old by looking at it, but it's beautiful. Who in the hell would throw that away, So a lot of these have survived, they're so cool, even though we don't need clocks really anymore. People don't have the heart to get rid of them. So you can find these things all over the place, but they don't bring a lot of money because you don't really need it, The clock wants to disagree with me. Hey, we hear you. What time is it? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 11 p.m. So that clock I got somewhere else. I didn't get it where I got this one. So, you don't really need clocks. So they've kind of gotten to the point where they're obsolete. These old pendulum clocks like this. But I've always been into them a little bit. I never really bought many of them, but a year and a half or so ago, I bought a couple of them and messed around with them. And then I made the mistake of going on Facebook Marketplace. If you go on Facebook Marketplace, there is so much crap on there. That's super cool. I mean, you can spend a fortune on Facebook Marketplace. It's like what the flea markets used to be. So I went on Facebook Marketplace one day, and there was an ad, and the ad said, clock parts. Tons of clock parts, $500. And I thought, do I want to buy $500 worth of clock? I mean, that's a lot of clock parts because, again, they're not really worth anything, right? Do I want to buy $500 worth of clock parts? Now, that Ansonia there, it doesn't work right. I got to mess with it a little bit, but usually you can repair them pretty easily, but if we get that one repaired, it might be worth $150 maybe, and that's a pretty nice one. So there are some that are super collectible. You're not really going to run across them. That's a pretty average one. They made a ton of those, but it's beautiful. It's just awesome. So that one's probably about $150. That might be the nicest one I've got. That one there is actually a reproduction. I've got several on the wall behind me. They're all reproductions. This one, if you were just buy this case somewhere, you could probably pick it up for $20, maybe less. People that are clock collectors wouldn't really even buy it. You know, they would have no interest in it, really. So the only people that are going to buy it are somebody who wants to turn it into something or horrible or put a battery movement in it. Oh boy. Or you know, make it a something to hang on the wall and put knickknacks in it or something. You know, nobody's going to buy this thing, right? But, you know, I've got kind of a different situation. You know, I've got this channel here on YouTube where I work on stuff. Now, it's usually arcade games, pinball machines, jukeboxes, but I can actually work on this thing, and it's starting to rain. I can actually work on this thing and have a little fun, and, you know, the video will make a little bit of money because people will watch it and blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm not going to sell it. I'm just going to put it on the wall and work on another one because I just like having them. But let me tell you how I got this thing. So the guy has the ad up, clock parts, $500. Then he's got a picture, and it looks like there's a damn ton of clock parts. And so I thought, I might want to go look, right? So I set it up, and he's down near Jefferson, which is where, you know, we have our buildings that we work on the weekend, my brother Donnie and I. And so I set it up. I'm going to swing by his place about 5:30 or something like that on a Sunday afternoon, right? And, hey, let me come look at me. Okay, yeah, come on over. So he gives me the address. So I go out, and it's an old country house in the middle of the country, just out in the middle of nowhere, in what used to be a little town, right? And, you know, like population 30, that type of town, right? And it's this old farmhouse, and it's pretty large. It's 2-story. And there's a whole bunch of property there. And so the driveway comes up into it, and there's cars parked all over the stuff, and there's metal scrap thrown out in the yard, and there's a mobile home out behind the place, and just a couple of big garages and just stuff everywhere, right? And so I pull up, and I think, oh, that's kind of cool. And this guy pops up, and he's about 60 years old, and maybe 55, 60 years old. And he says that his father passed away, and his father was a clock guy. He liked collecting clocks. And so they're cleaning up the house, and they're going to sell all the clock parts for $500. He pulled this number just out of the thin air. So I liked them already. I like those type of people. If you've got a guide, a price guide in your hand, I don't like that. They're worth whatever somebody will pay, right? But if you say, I want $500, that's what I want for it. I kind of like that. I might not buy it, but I kind of like that, right? So that's how this guy was. And he's a country guy, and, you know, I speak the country ease. And so, you know, got along with the guy immediately. And I think, you know, usually whenever stuff like this goes down, the people are a little shocked that I'm as young as I am. I'm 44, and I look even younger, right? So I think he was thinking, oh, God, I wasted my time. This kid ain't going to buy this crap. He probably don't even know. They're old clocks, right? So he says, yeah, they're in here. And so we walk in this old house. Now, this story is about to get a little disgusting. If you don't like, if you have a very weak stomach, you might want to fast forward to the end of the story, but I'm just going to tell you how it was, okay? And then explain it. When I walked in the house, I immediately started smelling dog crap, like dog feces. And I'm looking around, and on the carpet, you know, over here, you see a little dog crap. And it's not like really bad, but you can smell it. They're basically letting dogs run wild in the house. That ain't cool, people. Come on now. If you've got dogs, clean up after them. Come on now. And I'm not, you know, I don't want to denigrate the guy, and the people, his sons may watch this or something at some point. I'm not saying anything bad about them, and they know just as well as I do. The guy had a little bit of a hoarder thing going on, and the dogs were crapping in the house, and you could smell it in the air. And I was thinking, how does anybody live in this, you know? Now, it wasn't like horrible where you couldn't even stand it, but I'm just saying you could smell it whenever you were in there. If you've been down to like a dog kennel somewhere, if you've like been down to the shelter, or what do they call it, animal control, whenever they pick up the dogs and you got to go get your dog out of jail. You smell a little dog crap here and there, and it's just in the air a little bit. That's how this was, right? Inside the guy's house. And so and over in the corner, there is a big pile of clocks. They're 3 feet wide, 6 feet wide and 3 feet tall. And they're all torn apart like this. And so there's pieces all over the place. There's a stack of dials, there's books over here, and there's movements. There's a big old pile of movements in the back. This particular clock was leaning up against the wall, and there's a couple more in front of it. And there's about 20 clocks, but they're all taken apart like this. And then over here you see a bunch of faces, and over here you see a bunch of movements and all this, Now, collectors, people that are clock collectors, they would never buy this stuff. They would have looked at it and said, oh, that ain't really what I was looking for. I'm looking for more complete clocks. Okay, thank you for your time. And they would have left. But I'm looking at them, and, I kind of like tinkering with stuff. None of these radios work. Well, one of them does. You saw me fix that one, right? But most of these radios don't work. I'd rather buy them broke and fix them, right? So I see these clocks. They're broke. Maybe I can fix them. I don't know if I'm going to pay more for them, though. $500, that's a lot of money for a bunch of broke clocks, right? And so I'm looking at them, and I get they're basically telling me what happened. Their father passed away about 3 or 4 months before this. And they had been cleaning up the house. And the guy was a collector, and he's a hoarder, basically. But one of the things that he liked was clocks. And it appears what they were doing was going around the house and picking up all the pieces of the clocks that the guy had strewn all over the house, and they had piled them all in the floor. Okay, now, to make this video a little more vivid, I've described it for you, but now I'm going to let you see it for yourself. So let me give you a little chill jazz music, and you can look at the pictures that I took that day inside that room. So did you see this one leaning up against the wall? You can tell because it was leaning just like that up against the wall. It's got a rounded top on the back. Look how they made that. Kind of cool. So I'm looking at these clocks and I'm thinking, man, there ain't that much here. I mean, there's a lot of them, but they're all tore up. I like them though. I want them. Like this clock here. It ain't worth nothing, but I like it. That's a cool damn clock, man. This cabinet is cool. It's just cool. I like it. I like the color. I like the age. It's in good shape, in my opinion. It's held up over the years. I want to fix it. I want to fix it, people. So there's a whole bunch, you saw what was there. Big mess. And again, a collector, they wouldn't have touched that crap. They would have, hey, where was the door again? Let me get the crap out of here. And plus, the whole place smelled like dog crap, just a little bit, just enough to make you notice it. And so I'm looking at them and I'm counting and I'm thinking there's about 20 clocks there, right? A couple of them, I can tell they're just stuff I wouldn't even want and they're not old. If they're not old, I'm going to throw them in the trash. But the ones like this thing's 100 years old. I'm not going to throw it in the trash. Right? And so I start looking around and I'm thinking, well, if the movements are here and if the dials are here, I can put them back together. I mean, it's kind of 20 clocks. Ooh, power just flickered. If our power goes out, I'm going to continue the video. You know, there's about 20 clocks, and it looks like all the pieces might be here, or enough pieces to get most of them back together if I want to save them. So what would I pay for 20 clocks, right? And then I start thinking, $500, that's like $25 a piece for broke clocks, you know. I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, is this cabinet here worth $25? Probably not, unless, I mean, if you're just buying the one, you might pay that for it. Okay, well, if you got the cabinet and then the movement's laying here, the pendulum movement, is that worth $25? Kinda, but I wouldn't be happy about it, you know? Okay, the movement's laying here, the face is laying here, the cabinet's here, the piece of glass is over here. Is that worth $25? Kinda, you know, but do you want to buy 20 of them at a time like that? So I'm thinking, I'm going to hit the guy low. I'm going to hit him low. Tell you what I'm going to do. Nobody's going to buy these things. I'm thinking this in my head. This is my internal dialogue. Nobody's going to buy these things. I'm going to hit him lower. If he don't want it, I'm going to leave, and then I'll call him back in a couple weeks to see if he come to his senses yet, right? Now, the older I get, the least I want to negotiate. I don't really like negotiating because I don't really care as much anymore. You know, like if I don't think the price is right, I just won't buy it. And if the price is close, I'll just pay it and buy it. I don't feel like arguing with people, right? But sometimes I will. So that day I'm thinking, man, I'd like to have these clocks because I really did want them. And I really do think they're cool. It's just they're all filthy. They're probably smelling like dog crap, even though, you know, I didn't see any dog crap on them or anything, but you can smell it in the air, right? This is not a very desirable situation. Do I want to pay $500 freaking dollars for this, right? So I think I really kind of want them. I think I'll offer the guy $400, which is high. You know, nobody else would have ever offered him that. And so I say, well, I really like them. This is the kind of stuff I like to mess with. They're cool. Look at this one. This one's like 100 years old. You know, I talked them up a little bit. Now, some people would think you should talk them down, but that's a bad idea because all you do is piss them off. You know, if you start telling people, oh, look at this piece of crap. Oh yeah, look, the movement's missing. I mean, these aren't worth much. If you look on eBay, these are $10. I mean, they're just not worth anything. They made millions of them. There's nothing to them. If you do that, all you do is you make people defensive. They get all, oh, the hell with this guy. He's telling me my stuff. My dad loved that thing. That was my dad's. You know, you just get people all defensive. It doesn't work the way you want it to work, right? You're much better off. Let's say you decide you want to pay $200 for it instead of $500. You're better off saying it like this. Man, I love them. Man, these are cool. You say your dad collected them? I tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to try to put them all back together, but there's just so many of them, man. You know, I can't afford to spend $500 on them right now, but I would love to have them. So I can do. I mean, I'm not trying to insult you or anything, but I'd love to have them. But all I can really afford to pay for them is like $200. So if you say that, the guy might not take it. You know, this guy didn't. But if you say it that way, now the guy's thinking, boy, I like this guy. This is the guy I would like to have him, but he just ain't gonna give me enough money. Blah, blah. You know, so it just changes the dynamic. If you rip the crap down, then the guy's thinking, oh, this guy's just acting like he doesn't want them. He's gonna get them and sell them on eBay. Blah, blah, blah. He just causes a bunch of animosity. So anyway, I tell the guy. And, you know, I kind of want them. So I'm telling the guy, damn, he wants $500. But there's not $500 worth of stuff here. So I say, man, I really like them. They're cool. This is the type of stuff that I'm interested in. I'd like to try to put them back together. And, but could you do 400 on them? And the guy goes, nope, 500. I won't take a penny less. Just like that. All right. And then he goes, And you get everything. There's a whole bunch more out in the shop. And I go, oh, okay. Well, let's go look at those. So we go out in the shop, which is the mobile home behind the house. So we walk in it, and it's destroyed. It's open to the elements. There's dogs running in and out of it. Place also smells like dog crap. It may be a little worse than the house was. And there is stuff strewn all over this place. This was the guy's shop. So there are clocks everywhere. I mean, cases over here, again, a whole ton of movements over here, dials over here, a bunch of magazines over here that are from the National Association of Watch and Clock Collectors, and you know, just stuff everywhere, all kinds of parts. And he goes, you get everything that has anything to do with clocks, $500. And so I'm thinking, do I really want like an entire, like, do I want like freaking 30 or 40 clocks? I mean, that's kind of overkill. Do I want to do all of that? And then I go, I think I do. So I'm thinking to myself, it's still too much money. I mean, it's $500. This is all junk, you know? But then I go, you know what? I'll take it. Let's do it. And so I pulled out my wallet, gave the guy $500. And we start loading them up. And he goes, all right, let's load them up. And so him and his brother are there. And so they're walking around, they're grabbing crap everywhere and putting it in my truck. And some of the stuff is just stuff I don't even want, like newer clocks and just crap. I don't want that crap. But a lot of it is stuff like this, you know, and a whole, you know, couple boxes of movements and parts of movements and gears and just all kinds of crap, all the clock stuff you would ever want, right? And so they keep loading it up. And I've been working all day in Jefferson doing buildings and stuff with Donnie, my brother Donnie. And so for like an hour, we're loading up my truck, right? And I'm starting to think, to hell with the clocks, I just want to go. And so I remember one funny thing. I was walking out and I was carrying some stuff out. And one of the things was there was a little tin of finishing nails. And the guy, one of the sons, is going, huh, looks little finishing nails. He was probably nailing the cabinets back together with that. Here, you take them too. And so I put them on top of the pile of stuff that I'm carrying out. And then as I'm going, they fall off and it breaks open, right? Now this is like a little 60-cent little plastic case of finishing nails, right? And the guy goes, here, I'll hold those if you want to pick them up. So I'm about beat too, right? And so I hand them all of the clocks and then I'm down on the ground. Now remember, this place is destroyed. There's dog crap and stuff. And it's just I mean, it wasn't all over the place, but you know, there was some. If you looked around, you'd see a little piece. And so I'm down, I'm picking up these nails thinking, I got to get the hell out of here. So I made 2 mistakes that day. So I'm going to tell you the mistakes. I hope you've enjoyed the story. The 2 mistakes that I made were, I didn't get 2 items that I could have got. They basically told me I could have anything in there that had anything to do with clocks because I paid them $500, which is too much money, right? But I don't care. About it, with the money thing, I do not care. It's not like I paid them, you know, all the money I had or whatever. You know, it said $500 before I went down there. I already knew if I went down there, I was probably going to spend $500. I was ready to spend $500. I got 30 or 40 clocks out of it, you know. So, but I got tired and I was ready to go. I've been working all day and then I was there for an hour. And part of it was, it may be hard for you to believe this. Part of it was I was tired of talking to them. Now, usually I don't get tired of talking. This video is, what, 20 minutes long, and I haven't shut up yet. But there's something about when you're talking with people that you don't know about what they want to talk about, and it's kind of boring to you, that it kind of wears you out because you kind of got to be fake, you know? And so I'm a nice guy, you know, and so they're telling me just stuff that I, you know, and again, there's nothing wrong with these guys. They're great guys, but you know what I mean? It's the whole, oh, how are you? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, really? He did. Oh, he had a boat, huh? Oh, okay. Oh, you bought what? He bought this house in 1963? Oh, cool. It's that the whole time. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of worn out. I'm ready to go, right? So I left 2 things there. One of the things that I left there, I don't even know what the crap it is. They asked me about it. I didn't know what it was, and it was big, so I didn't take it. It was about the size of one of these. This is a Philco radio from about probably 1955 or something like that. It was about the size of that, maybe a little bigger where it was square, right? And it had doors on the side of it, on all 4 sides. And inside of it were gears. And the guy was like, what is that? Is that like a clock or something? He's like, you're a clock guy. What do you think? And I'm not a clock guy, right? They thought I was a clock guy because I just gave him $500 for a bunch of clock parts. And I'm looking at it, and I have no clue what it is. And there's like, it looks almost like a combination between like it almost looks like a 4-faced clock, but without any faces on it. So I don't know what it was. It had a bunch of gears inside of it, and somebody had put like a table on the top of it. And it didn't appear to be a tool or a saw or anything. Just weird, so I didn't take it. So I probably should have took that because it might have been something really interesting or valuable or whatever. If I could have figured out what it was, I could do a video fixing it. And then the other thing that I left over in the corner, sitting on the floor. See how there's stuff just sitting in here on the floor like at my Variac that we worked on a few weeks back? There was stuff like that just sitting around. Not a Variac or I would have took it, but there's stuff just sitting around, and over on the floor, there was this thing. It looked like a periscope to me. Not a periscope, a magnifying, magnoscope. It looked like one of those old magnoscopes you would get in school or something, that you used in school. It looked like a little magnoscope, and it had a bunch of drill bits around it. And I saw it there, and I'm ready to go, right? I wanted to leave 10 minutes earlier, and now we're in there getting the finishing nails and crap, right? And I'm ready to go. I've already got all the cabinets and stuff, and so I'm in that role where I'm trying to get to the car. Okay, well, yeah, man, well, I appreciate it, guys, blah, blah. And one of them says, hey, do you want that? And so there was like an old power drill or something laying in the floor or something, and then this thing. And I was thinking, oh, man, it's just a bunch of old tools. I don't want that crap. Like a drill from 10 years ago. I have no interest in that. To hell with that. It's stuff like that. Right? There's a couple little tools laying there. And again, I'm not buying them to make money on them. I'm buying them because it's a hobby thing. And so I'm getting the clocks and leaving. If there were some radios, you bet your butt I would have got them. But so I just kind of, no, I don't need those. But thank you, man. Okay, I'll hey, if you find anything else, let me know. It's been cool. I'm trying to get out of there. I go out, I get my truck, and I leave. And then as I'm driving away, I start thinking, what was that little thing, right? So I get home, and I look it up, and it's a staking set, which is what you use to, replace the bushings in the movements. And I don't know for sure, but that particular one, I'm pretty sure, was valuable as hell. And I literally just left it laying on the floor. All I had to do was pick it up. It's probably worth between $200 and $800. Legitimately. It was an older staking set. The guy knew his stuff, probably, the clock guy, or at least thought he knew his stuff. It was an older staking set. Look at me looking over there like it's over there. It's an older staking set. I don't know what model it was or anything, but just the look of it, I kept finding models online that are like $800. So in other words, I got all the clocks and I left the best thing laying on the freaking floor. Ugh, I still haven't got over it. My brother Donnie said it's all right. My brother Joe said it was all right, but I don't know if it's all right, man. I don't know if I'm gonna get over this. It's been a year and a half. I don't know if I can get by without that staking set. So anyway, I might drive back by there and knock on the door and see if it's still there. So let me show you some pictures of the crap in my truck as I'm taking it home. whole truck's full of stuff. So I get it home and there's a problem. What do you think the problem is? Tick tock, tick tock. The problem is the stuff has been in a house that smells like dog crap. I'm not bringing it into my house, you know? So all I can do is put the stuff on the front porch. So I take a few of them inside and start cleaning them up and put the other ones on the front porch. Now, I don't find any fecal material on the clocks, but yeah, you know how that goes. That stuff soaks into wood. So what I did was I left them outside on the front porch for a month until when I came home, I could no longer smell anything. And then I brought them in one at a time and I wiped them down and cleaned them off, and they don't smell like that now. And I've asked other people, everybody confirms they do not smell like dog crap. I don't think that the dogs urinated on them or anything like that. I think it was just they were in that environment, and it's, you know, so it's kind of disgusting. But I'm pretty sensitive to smells, and these don't smell. And I don't think it's because I got used to them. I had some other people check it. They said they think they're fine. So anyway, so I cleaned each one of them one by one. It took like another month or two just to get them all inside and put up and all that. So I built some shelves and everything. I've been renovating my office there. I built some shelves and hung up a few of them. But they're all just parts and stuff. This particular one here, I actually bought somewhere separately. That's why it's complete. So here's the thing. I am about ready to start the game. So what is the game? The game is, did the guy still have the movement that he took out of this clock? Did the guy still have the face that he took out of this clock? And did I find the movement and the face as I was scrounging through his house and his trailer? And can I now put them back in the clock? So the first thing that I want to do is figure out what kind of clock this is. I don't know. I'm doing this one first because the cabinet is fairly complete. And this would be a nice one if we get it done, I think. So there's a way you can figure this out. There is a website. I think it's Clock History. Is it clockhistory.com? I think that's it. We're going to find out here in a minute. Where this guy has scanned in a bunch of the old catalogs that they sold these clocks out of. And they show pictures in them. So you can just kind of look at the pictures until you find the right clock. I'm going to guess this is, just going to make a wild guess, that this is a Waterbury clock. Just guessing. I don't know why I think that, but it just says that to me. So you can see it almost has like a leaf kind of, see how they're scalloped a little bit? Right? And then it's got these carved little designs in them like they all do. And then there are little dimples at the end of all of the lines. Okay? And it's got the door of it is squared off at the top, or angled at the top, I guess you would say. And then it's got these kind of things on the side. Now they all look very similar to this, but if you find one that's got the exact same design, then that's the clock. So why do we need to know that? If I can figure out who made it, then I can look through all of the movements and figure out the movement. So like if I figure out that this is a Waterbury, then perhaps I can look at all the Waterbury movements I have and see if one of them appears to line up with the screw holes. If I find the one that lines up with the screw holes, then I can look at all the faces and see which one lines up with the winding keys holes. Right? And then if we do that and we've found a picture of it, then I can see if I've got the glass, or I can get a new glass with the whatever design is originally on it, and we can see what the pendulum looks like and all of that and try to fix it. So that's probably going to take a second video. But in this video, we got to figure out, what is this thing? I'm guessing it's a Waterbury. So I'm literally going to go look at a bunch of pictures in catalogs until I find this. So I'm looking for one. Another 15 minutes went by, folks. 30 minutes, good Lord. Another 30 minutes went by. I'm looking for one with 3 kind of leaves, and there's angles, and then it's got this kind of top, and then down here on the bottom, the little, what do those look like? They're almost like waves. Okay, so I'm gonna go see what I can find. So I believe I'm on to something. Look, this says Walnut Clocks, Waterbury Clock Company. And if you look, see the door, how it's similar? But look at the little dimples on the end of the lines. So I don't know why I thought that was a Waterbury, but it looks like I might have guessed correctly. And it is clockhistory.com. So thank you to that guy who's got some of these. So I'm gonna look through here and see if I can find one that's a match to the one I've got. Okay, so I have looked and looked and looked online, and I cannot find one exactly like this. The best I can guess is that it's an Ingram. There were some Ingrams that were very similar. So if you look, it almost looks hand done, but it's very simple. It could be that at some point somebody replaced that or something. And these are just handmade ones that somebody made. I don't know. The bottom seems to be, you know, all original. I mean, it all seems all original. There are some Ingram ones that are after like plants. So, and trees. So one will be called like the Lily, and has very simple carvings like this on it, and looks very similar. This one is so simple. I mean, there's like hardly anything on it. And most of them would have like an extra, if they were this simple, they would have like an extra piece of wood inlaid over it or something. But I can't find anything. I looked and looked and looked. I looked in all kinds of old catalogs that are online. I looked in just Googling images of gingerbread clocks, you know, couldn't find anything. So I figured, well, let me try to do it the other way. So the other way is I can get some of the movements that came with it and see if they match up. Now, it appears, the best I can tell, that perhaps there have been 2 movements mounted in it. So I think maybe what happened was the guy that it originally had a movement in it 100 years ago. At some point it was taken out and they replaced it with a different one. So if you look, see how everywhere something mounts, there's like 2 holes where it kind of looks like it has been moved. So you've got 2 holes there. And then over here you have 2 holes. And then down here, you have 2 holes. There's a screw still in that one. All right. But it could have been there, you know. These 3 are likely for the gong. They make a gong that uses 3 screws to mount, but it's not a specific brand. Okay, and then here you have a screw hole, but you have one here too. So it's almost like they moved it at one point. So they moved it down a little bit, and then over here they moved it down a little bit. Right, and up here, maybe they moved it up actually. So it was there, and then it was there. And it was there, but now it's there. So maybe they may put a little bigger movement in it than the original. Perhaps, right? Now another interesting thing, if you look right there, see the dent in it? How it's angled? So it's as if the little support, the mount was going that way to the 3 o'clock side of the clock. And then you can kind of see the dent there too. So I'm trying to, you know, we're trying to figure out just by looking at it. So you can see where the foot was there too, but it may have originally been there. Right, the same here. It may have originally been there, and then they remounted it there. Now these other pieces, who knows? It could be that was the alarm. And then you've got even more here. So see how there's a square indention here and 2 holes. There is a certain movement where there's a metal, the metal movement plate is there, and then there's a wood block that holds it in place, and that could be what that is. And then at the top there appears to be a spot for another one, so it could be that was like a wood block that held the original movement. Who knows? And you can almost see like a rectangle outline there. So I don't know, you know, you can't really tell unless you find the exact one, and I can't find the exact one. A lot of the Ingrams are actually stamped on the bottom of the case right here. It'll say E. Ingram & Co. or E. Ingram, whatever. And this one's not. So I don't know. Can't tell, and I can't find the exact thing. It could just be it's like a knockoff too, where some small company was making ones that were kind of like the Ingrams, and this is it. But I believe it's very old. I don't think it's newer. That door almost looks plastic, but it's not. It's just old wood. So we're going to call it an Ingram and run with it. I did see some, the Waterberries were a little bit too, there were none this plain. They were just a little bit more ornate. The Ingrams are more ornate too, but if they're really old ones, they were kind of simple like this. There was like a period there. If you go to the really old ones from like 1860, they're more ornate than this. But about 1890 to about 1900, they had some that were very simple like this. They did have this, you know, the lines with the dots and the simple little carving thing. If you look here though, see how it almost looks like it's crooked? So it makes me wonder if this is just something somebody remade. I don't know. But we're just gonna call it an Ingram and run with it. Now, like I was saying, that one support, so on the top there are 2 little legs. One reaches out this way and the other one reaches in that same direction. Right, so it goes like that and like that. So if you look at an Ingram plate, this is one of the ones out of all of his junk. So there's one that moves over to the side. And then if you look on the back, you can see how this one has been removed, but you can see that it did angle that same way. So this could be the plate that was in there, and he just tore it all apart. It's possible too that he took the, I got a big bunch of crap here. It's possible too that he took the original movement out and put it in another case that he was working on or something. You know, it doesn't really matter, but it would be cool if we could get it to kind of, this is hard to do without my tripod. So if that went there, that would fit. So that lines up, and the bottom one, that one, if it had the leg, would line up. See the little hole to the right of it? And then this side, this is, boy, my production skills are really getting great, aren't they? There's no way 5% of the people that started this video are still watching. And then, yeah, see, look, the leg would line up. Right? So I think it was an Ingram. That's my guess. Or it had an Ingram movement in it at one point. So I've got another one here. I want to see what this is. I don't have one that still has the legs on it, other than this one. And you can see that that one, I guess it moved around. And that one was off to the left a little bit. So that one was this way just a little bit. We're going to make it an Ingram. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Now I have this is an Ingram plate too, but it's a front mount. So the mounts are on the front because it goes in a clock that you can open the back to. All right, so that's not it. But all of these parts are Ingram movement parts. So there's about a complete clock worth of parts here. And I've got hundreds of wheels and stuff. The guy had crap everywhere. Who knows? This is another one. It says 26, so probably 1926 when this one was made. But again, it has the front mounts, so this would have been something for a clock that you can take the back off of, like a mantle clock. Okay, now here's something you might find more interesting. These also came out of that. They were strewn all around his collection. You see the little nail hole? And then there's 2 nail holes over here. So when you service the clock, you pretty much have to take the face off. And when you put it back, you might put the nail hole in the wrong spot. So if I line that one up, if I can find it here. We're still crooked. Boom. What do you think? It lines up perfectly. So the first one I picked up lined up perfectly. However, they may have pre-drilled these holes in there. So it could be that most of these will line up perfectly. So I was able to find 2 more that line up pretty much perfectly. So I have this one, which says made in the USA. Doesn't have a maker's name on it. But it also lines up perfectly. See the 2 holes? So that could have been the face that was on it. And then I have this one. Pretty rough. And it has 2 nail holes. And it also lines up perfectly. So I think they probably pre-drilled the holes in the faces. And then you just held it up and you pounded the nail in. So I think I'm going to go with this one. For whatever reason, this is the first one I picked up. I think that may be the face that was on it. So my theory is he bought this clock somewhere. Maybe it didn't work or something or whatever. Something was going on. He took this plate off of it, threw it in the floor. And then there was a movement in here, which may or may not have been the original one. He took the movement out and either put it in something else or threw it, used it in stuff. Or maybe he took it all apart and it had a bad, main wheel or something. And he took that out and just tore the whole thing apart. And that's what we ended up with. And this case has been sitting empty for 30 years. The dates on the guy's stuff, like the books that he was collecting about clock repair and stuff, were all from the early 90s. So these things have been sitting there in various states of disarray for about 30 years. And he was probably picking them up for $5 back in the day because they were all over the place then, probably. And especially when they're beat up like this. So what I want to do is I'm going to take an Ingram movement, pop it in here. I'm gonna put this faceplate on here. I'm gonna try to find a gong. Once I get the movement in, I may be able to tell where the bell went. I mean, it kind of looks like something's over here. I don't know. I'm gonna look at some Ingrams and figure out how they did that. And once I get the movement in them, see where the hammer hangs, I should be able to figure it out. But it looks like this was where the gong mounted. And I'm gonna put the gong in it, and then we're gonna fix this thing up and make it run again. And then we're just gonna act like it was always an Ingram. That's the best I can do, folks. I can't tell exactly what it is. Now, some of these other ones, I can tell exactly what they are because they're a little more distinctive. So some of these are, you know, Seth Thomas clocks, and some of them are obvious Sessions clocks and Waterburys and all of that. But so that's what we go. So if you want to play along, see if you can find a picture of this online and tell me who made it. And if you do it quick enough, I won't have the Ingram stuff for it yet. And we'll go from there. But so there you go. So I hope you enjoyed the journey so far. I'm going to do another video where we actually put it together, but I thought I would make one and tell y'all the story of all these clocks that I got. I thought it was interesting. You may be bored to tears, but so there you go. So leave your comments below. Let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next episode of Amateur Repair Time.